Entrances in many ways are the best thing about wrestling. I mean, where else can you walk out dressed like a clown with awesome music blaring as thousands of people just accept that this is the peak of existence? Exactly. Of course, a list like this needs to be updated every single year, but just as I love talking about men and women walking to the ring, yeah, here is the 25 most iconic WWE entrances ever. Until tomorrow, or until somebody else does something cool, I'm Simon Miller. That was not in the correct order. Number 25, Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 41. So let us start with some recency bias, just because I know it's fun to talk about things that are fresh in the memory. Seth Rollins' ring walk at Mania 41 was excellent. There was even a nerd story behind it, because after Seth first trotted out, he was dressed in black, decided to pull the trigger on a flamethrower. I mean, why not? The lights then darkened, and when they returned, Rollins was now decked out in all white, which of course reminded us all of that long-told Vince McMahon story. He had actively informed Seth to no longer wear that color after a SummerSlam. Finally, it was back. There was a narrative to this too, given what Rollins was about to do. He sort of reversed it. But while he was walking in on the good side, he was going to leave on the bad. Him buddying up with Paul Heyman, one could say, was like burning it all down. I'm sorry. We also had to do something like this as well, because in the build-up, a lot of the focus had been on CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and their relationship with Paul. Before the bell even rang, Rollins had evened that out. If you want to be super nerdy and fantasy book, you could even say this was part of the long game too, setting fire to things at WrestleMania. It was very The Rock at WrestleMania 32, and it's long been thought eventually Seth will cozy up to the final boss. We wait and see. Number 24, The Fiend at SummerSlam 2019. 2019 was awful for WWE. I'm a positive Pete, and even I'm saying that, but the Hell in a Cell, Kofi Kingston getting squashed, the dog food stuff with Roman Reigns, so bad. That's why, thank goodness for Bray Wyatt. After WWE had ruined the Eater of Worlds character, he came back with The Fiend, a gimmick that was drowning in intrigue. You always wanted to know what he was going to do. This applied to SummerSlam 2 when we found out he was going to face Finn Balor, and good grief, this man did not disappoint. It's hard to explain in voice alone, but the lights going out, that weird noise that came afterwards, the theme music, the lantern, which called back to what once was, you couldn't have done it any better. Balor sold it like he was in serious trouble as well, and you should just go and watch it. One of the best things from that year, and if you were pumped before, afterwards you were giddy, talk about, as they say now, cinema. It's why you do have to chat about it if nothing else, because it enhanced the character, and that is proof that sometimes it's what counts in wrestling. Bray Wyatt too, man. I tell you, there will never be another. Number 23, The New Day at WrestleMania 32. Admittedly, there will be some obvious choices that do not make this list. And there's that magic word, obvious choices. It's because of that. They have been great, but they have been sung about a lot. I do want some time to praise those who thought outside the box, and The New Day on this night did that literally. Around WrestleMania 32, The New Day were just on fire as well, and as such deserved an entrance befitting of their madness. Xavier Woods agreed, so apparently pitched the idea that the threesome would emerge from a giant booty. And yes, I mean that as directly as possible. Management shot that down, but there was a compromise to be had, a giant cereal box of bootios, which was yet another thing the New Day had gotten over. They were just machines. The fact we made it look like they'd kind of spilled out of the damn thing as if they were free gifts inside was just so cool. And what was even better was that it was totally different. I'm not sure anybody else could have appealed to as many people simultaneously like this did. It was essentially one big joint. Well, of course they did that. Can even argue this was shameless marketing, but who cares? Woods, Biggie, and Kofi Kingston were so much fun, we basically let them just do whatever they wanted. If we were going to have a good time, that's the point. It all comes down to the idea that WrestleMania entrances are meant to be larger than life. Well, bingo, this ticked every box, which I didn't mean as a pun. Somebody should kick me out the window. Number 22, Jey Uso at SummerSlam 2023. So forget the match. I know what you're like in the damn comments. I want to focus on the entrance. Once again, I just wanted to include some new entries so we can have a new conversation. And at SummerSlam 2023, you can kind of see the start of what was going to happen to Jey Uso. This man was connecting. It's just so easy to forget as well, but at one point, if I had told you Jey was going to be the world champion, you'd have laughed at me. But again, go and watch this. It is when the yeet crowd interaction just got to gargantuan levels, and the fans ate it up so much it just got louder and louder. The word has always been that the overall goal of the Bloodline storyline was to get everybody involved more in terms of the product, and now here was Uso walking into battle with his cousin Roman Reigns. Even that was crazy. How did we actually do this. And look, yes, Jay has had other entrances that were more nuts and broke the decibel meter, but you don't get there without this. It was laying the groundwork for a rise that the old WWE wouldn't have done. Remember Rusev? Rusev Day was a fluke apparently. So maybe it's an arrival that is better now than it was, but the special factor is still there. Jey Uso getting it done. Of course, some of the audience would turn, but that always happens. You know the deal. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. On this night though, Jay really did feel like a different person, and little did we know that main event moniker was gonna become the absolute truth. Number 21, Dominic Mysterio at WrestleMania 39. So I could pretend I've included this due to the above reason. Let's give some new guys their due. Nope, I just love Dominic Mysterio so much he's earned a mention here. What a dickhead. Because by April 2023, Dom had made it clear that he hated his deadbeat dad. Ray had done nothing during his childhood or even now, which was awesome because of course when you strip this back, Dommy boy was a Nepo baby. More power to him, we'd all take that opportunity. The fact that the younger Mysterio basically embraced his fake dad Eddie Guerrero made it even better, and at this Mania, forget it, I think we peaked. It was all tied into the hard time Dominic had spent in jail, so he had a police escort. They had him handcuffed and covered him with a hood when boom. They removed that and Dirty Dom was wearing a lucha mask. What a flippin' hero. Even the back of the prison van opened like Mysterio was a dangerous man, and that's the genius, it was played straight. Even though we knew Dominic spent about 1 hour behind bars, now he was meant to be a badass. It was so daft in the best possible way, which summed up Mysterio, to be honest. He just gets it. It's also once again tied into this idea that WrestleMania entrances should hit something deep inside of you. Mission achieved. Number 20, Bayley at Battleground 2016. My new thing is to get as much praise for Bayley as possible. Do not forget how awesome she was in NXT. It's why when she had her sort of not debut on the main roster at Battleground 2016, it all went right. I mean, even one of the Bayley Buddy inflatable tubes fell in a way that she could high-five it, and the crowd was just so happy to see her. This was nice. The pop was massive too, which showed how well Triple H's NXT was getting over, and she was also Sasha Banks' mystery partner here. Sasha's smile made all of this even more lovely too. She was genuinely pleased to see her friend. And let's not pretend it was a surprise because we all knew, but actually that anticipation helped. The noise built throughout the night, and what it did achieve the most was giving you hope. Maybe we can have these awesome characters from NXT that seamlessly work their way to Raw and SmackDown. It didn't go that way sadly, but we didn't know that back then. We were excited. That sort of underlined Bayley's entrance too. Done right, she could have been a proper super mega babyface. Very unfortunately, Vince McMahon didn't get this at all. Still doesn't take away from when you watch this in isolation, it will make you feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum. Number 19, Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13. I mean, yes, you can basically pick any entrance from Stone Cold's heyday. All of them are amazing because the reaction that man got, it is to this day like nothing else, and sometimes we do pretend, but nope. One of a kind. The reason I picked WrestleMania 13 is because WWF had finally realized the deal. Can't treat Steve Austin like anybody now. So we built a 316 plate of glass, and as soon as his music hit boom, it shattered. Of course it did. This was the prelude to the Bret Hart-Austin match too, which is the best match of all time. And what was the plan at the end? To ensure the Rattlesnake walked away as the babyface. That's why this themed entrance meant even more. It was all designed this way. You can go as far to say this whole contest saved WrestleMania 13 too, and it was also going to send Austin off to a realm nobody was ready for. The Hitman sells it all wonderfully as well because of course he did. And when you watch it today, it just has so much weight to it, hence why I felt like we had to throw it in here. It is an entrance that kind of tells you what the future is for the then WWF, and it all starts with a man walk into the ring. Number 18, John Cena at WrestleMania 25. John Cena was on top for so many years, he has countless memorable Mania entrances. One even featured CM Punk. Go and teach your brain for trivia. The reason I like number 25 is because how much it left to discuss. It could be too far-fetched, but in 2009, the major Cena criticism was that he was nothing more than a cookie-cutter clone. Therefore, we quite literally cloned him as John walked the aisle surrounded by what felt like hundreds of extras dressed like him. Dare I say it, it was cool. I suppose much like Cena back then, it was embracing the idea of more is more, but go watch it. It's very entertaining, and something only John could pull off. Man just approached things with as much gusto as he could. Some even said it was better than the match itself, but the Big Show Edge contest was fine. Did what it had to do, but yeah. It's the entrance we will talk about more, because it was sort of heelish. Or bullish, it's one of the two. John Cena heard the noise and he was telling you he didn't really care. Number 17, Bad Bunny at Backlash 2023. If you didn't see this, you will likely roll your eyes. The dude's not even a wrestler, etc. Well, go watch it now, you will see. It's rare you can say we get a half entrance, half concert, but that's what Bad Bunny was going for, and because we were in Puerto Rico, my gosh, the homecoming was something else. The real magic was it was during a time where WWE was on fire, and for once actually timed one of their crossovers right. If you had tuned in thanks to the celebrity stuff, surely you watched at least one more show. It was amazing. We were also introducing new drone camera shots, which helped Bunny feel like an even bigger star, and I honestly think all 18,000 people in that building were just losing their minds. It's everything a babyface should be, especially as Bad was being the ultimate tough guy. He was gonna face Damian Priest in a street fight. He needed all the support possible. So we just ticked every box, including one of culture, I think. I'll let others weigh in there, but either way, top tier wrestling this was. You just need people to care. Number 16, Shinsuke Nakamura, NXT Takeover Dallas. I was there for this one, so I can tell you firsthand, it was awesome. Shinsuke Nakamura felt like he was the most important dude to ever exist within wrestling. It was really cool as fans of New Japan knew what to expect, but because they and WWE made so much noise about Nakamura coming in, this atmosphere was created which just continued to grow. NXT helped with that by airing a Shinsuke video where he just said, "Sami Zayn, I will see you in Dallas," like a superhero coming to Earth. As for the entrance, Sami Zayn instantly helped because you could see he thought this was great too, and Shinsuke was just locked into the moment. Those weird dance moves, the expression on his face, the sheer reaction from the crowd, it was really special. Even more so because WWE got the music spot on. I mean, compare that to today, unreal. There's even footage of Triple H watch this from backstage, and even he is drawn in. And if you had a template of why an entrance is so important, you could probably use this. From day one, Nakamura was GOATed. It could not have been done any better. Number 15, Edge at the Royal Rumble 2020. Look at Edge's face. That is a man who was soaking in the moment with 10 years of people telling him he was never gonna wrestle again. Screw that. Adam Copeland figured it out. It goes back to the emotional side of wrestling and just how unlikely this was. Edge vanished from the spotlight after retaining his world title at WrestleMania, which summed it up. Had anybody known he was going to retire, at the very least he would have dropped the championship. That's par for the course. His neck was in such a state of disrepair though, doctors said he was done, so he was done until the 2020 Royal Rumble. The 21st entrant in the match blew the roof off the place because nobody could believe it. It wasn't just a return from someone who had gone to AEW or taken time off. Edge was considered done and dusted. This really was incredible. It also inspired so many others because if he can do it, why can't they? And the fact WWE did a pretty good job in keeping this under wraps made it better still. I totally believe you could explain the history here to a non-fan and then show them this and they would get it too. I mean, we'll finish as we started. It is written all over his face, and if nothing else, it is just a lovely moment. Number 14, Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 38. I was there for this one as well, and I even talked about it when I was a guest on Chris Van Vliet's podcast. That's how much it impacted me. It could be one of the best wrestling moments I've ever experienced live. There is so much to it which we'll try and get into, but the fact we got the Cody Rhodes AEW entrance on WWE television just blew your brain. I think we all assumed that part would have been gone, but nope. We even got the whole there is more than one wrestling royal family. Like somebody had hit copy, but pasted it in the wrong promotion. It was truly surreal. This was increased as he was the first major star to go from AEW to WWE, and don't forget the meltdown when that news was announced. It was around the same time as Stone Cold Steve Austin potentially doing something at this show broke, and Cody still took over. It was just unbelievable. It's another moment of pure emotion too, as do not forget when Rhodes did leave in 2016, it was to prove to WWE he could be the guy. He was going to get even bigger than this, but the presentation here was evident of that. He had finished the first part of his story. Let's not forget he had a great match with Seth Rollins too, and I'll level with you. This is one of those things I randomly watch on YouTube a lot. It was just the absolute coolest. Number 13, Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12. The famous story coming from Shawn Michaels' WrestleMania 12 entrance is that he wasn't sold on it. He didn't want to zip line in, mostly because it was a little bit scary, and too right. Of course, Vince McMahon then lived up to his "well, I will do anything I ask my talent" agenda, and yep, he just zoomed on down. I suppose you could also say this was one of the first big Mania entrances that are just par for the course these days, and the fact it telegraphed the match was a good thing. Bret Hart is my favourite wrestler ever, but HBK was always going to win on this night. Therefore, go all out to make him feel like a super duper whooper star. Bingo. You can even watch it today and it doesn't feel like it's aged at all, and I'm sure it's a huge reason why fans went nuts. As we've already talked about, it makes the Heartbreak Kid feel like a superhero. If you were a child back then, you would have lost your mind. If you have never seen it, you can check it out on YouTube right now, and you will marvel at the sheer height Michaels comes in at. Oh yeah, even when you do watch it in 2025, it is very special indeed. Number 12, Chris Jericho on the August 9th, 1999 Raw. This has to be in here because some call it the best WWF debut ever. A huge reason for that is how Chris Jericho entered. The countdown clock has long been spoken about, but it really was interesting. If you were watching at the time, this Millennium Timer just popped up one day, and nobody really knew what was going on. It was clearly heading to zero, so I guess we should just wait and see. The genius was in how reserved it was, especially because on one random episode of Raw, you realized this thing was going to end in August 1999. That is not the start of the millennium. Nope. It was the arrival of Chris Jericho. The fact it interrupted The Rock made it even more interesting because I'm not sure anybody expected that, and when Jericho appears on the screen, man, that's a pop that will give you goosebumps. It was also a WCW guy arriving in the WWF, which was always huge, but the presentation was perfect. I mean, think of the theme song. Jericho did change for small periods, but he always went back to break the walls down. The whole thing screamed superstar. Throw in that this was a surprise and you only add to the energy, and while it didn't go great after this for many reasons, this is the way you debut someone. He is a big deal, and you should care. Number 11, Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24. So this was another one I was present for, and it was also my first WrestleMania, so maybe I'm biased. It's also fair to say in the years since, Ric Flair hasn't done himself any favors, but on this night, home run. A huge reason for this was because it was the Nature Boy's last fight. Of course, it wasn't going to be because this was a fake retirement, but we didn't know that at the time. Flair was walking to the ring in a do-or-die clash with Shawn Michaels, and it was just so easy to buy in. I mean, look at this face. Rick has never been able to hold back his emotions, and on this night it added to the whole shebang. His gown was also superbly over the top, and in 2008, he had that gravitas of being the ultimate legend. Everybody cited Flair as an influence, and somehow that was all encapsulated too. I'm likely being over the top, but it did feel that way. The miles and the memories were there. The Orlando crowd understood all of this as well as they roared with appreciation, and if this had have been Flair's last entrance, well, it would have stood the test of time. As it is still awesome the way you would want to go out. But one would think anyway, Ric Flair had other ideas. Number 10, The Undertaker at WrestleMania 29. The Undertaker WrestleMania entrance was worth the price of the ticket on occasion. The WWE always managed to do something badass. We have gone for WrestleMania 29 here, mostly because I would imagine we had to start thinking outside the box. The pressure was on to ensure fans felt satisfied, and don't forget at WrestleMania 30, The Undertaker was going to lose his precious streak. Makes this one even more impressive. The Dead Man was facing CM Punk as well, so the build-up had been intense, meaning a battle of the mind games had been instigated. The Phenom must have thought he figured this out, as he walked to the ring with the hands of those in hell, or maybe his old rivals, reaching up to try and grab him. WWE also made sure Taker was silhouetted when we did this too, and I will give you 2 words for this: just awesome. Pyrotechnic also goes off as The Undertaker turns the lights back on too. While that makes no sense, who cares? If you were trying to make the man feel like the end-of-level boss, absolutely, you did that and then some. Number 9, the Hardy Boys at WrestleMania 33. Entrances should make you feel something. At WrestleMania 33, 65,000 people all felt happiness simultaneously. It of course helped that this was a surprise, but also that it was the Hardy Boys. There was one time where it felt like their bridge had been well and truly burned, so to get another go around, hell yeah, that's exactly what we wanted. The New Day played their part as well, and fair play to them. As the Raw Tag Team Championship match was about to begin, Mania 33 guest hosts Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods walked out to pretend they were going to insert themselves into the mix. Then at the last seconds that Hardy music hit, cue utter carnage in the crowd. WWE even had Matt and Jeff win the titles too, which made this ramp up even further, and it really is one of the best shock returns ever, even more so because that same weekend, the Hardys had dropped the Ring of Honor tag team titles to the Young Bucks. This was a work of art. It's also another you should go and watch right now if you don't get it. It will take 10 seconds, and then it makes sense. Number 8, Triple H on the January 7th, 2002 Raw. All wrestling promotions today need to go back to the January 7th, 2002 Raw and learn how to bring a main event star back. The return of Triple H was perfect. But then WWE also saved for Madison Square Garden, and do not forget, the game had missed 8 months after tearing his quad in 2001, and that's a legit career-ending injury. Just rehabbing it must have been hell, and because of that and the excellent videos the company ran on a weekly basis, fans were desperate to see him back. It was so iconic, people still talk about Triple H's double jacket, and it's another one. Look at his face. This totally sent him to the nether realm as he soaked it all in. Within an instant, we all knew too that he had to win the Royal Rumble. That sounds strange, but it was just obvious. That's how major it all was. The pop he gets as well is all time. It's so loud, and it did feel like this was earned. Again, the sheer effort put in to get back to this place was next level. And on a personal note, Triple H was ginormous. I literally went to the gym right after, and I'm not kidding. What an inspiration. Number 7, Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14. So do remember we used the word iconic. Not entirely sure this would be somebody's go-to entrance when you're looking for a fun one, but when you take all the history and news at the time, it hits different. For at WrestleMania 14, the clock on Shawn Michaels' career had run out. He was only 32 years old, but a horrific back injury suffered at the Royal Rumble a month prior meant he did have to go away. Nobody was sure when he was going to return. He hadn't wrestled in the interim either for this reason, and as the word goes, he did not give a crap that Steve Austin was the star to follow him. In fact, HBK may have been mad about it all, which is why The Undertaker stood backstage ready to sort some things out had Michaels decided he didn't want to do his job. I mean, that's totally mad. You can see that Shawn is not having a good time either as he looks down the camera and shouts, excuse my language, "Who's a f***ing man?" Maybe he was trying to convince himself knowing his time had actually come to a close. Heart on your sleeve is a good way to put it, and you can hear Austin talk about this as well. He knew the deal, so yeah. Go and check it out with all of this in mind. It totally changes what it is. Number 6, CM Punk at Survivor Series 2023. So it's interchangeable between this or Money in the Bank 2011, but let's face it, nothing in recent modern wrestling history has brought people to their knees as much as this did. It was like the WWE world just stopped. Because forget everything that had happened in AEW, which of course added to this, it was CM Punk back in WWE, a company he had left in 2014 under really bad circumstances and seemingly never really made proper amends. If the new management team hadn't have taken over, I still don't think this would have happened. How WWE ever kept this secret, I do not know, but as soon as the good guys had won their War Games match, Cult of Personality did play, and this Chicago crowd lost their minds. I did too, watching at home. I honestly couldn't believe it. It's an entrance you will watch over and over due to this explosion, and there's the smaller parts too. Seth Rollins going off, Drew McIntyre walking out. If you wanted the audience to think this was going to cause a fuss, you'd done it. It also really sparked interest in WWE because Punk has that magic to him, so yeah. In terms of the WWE Book of Walks to the Ring, it is right up there. I mean, there's 10 years of stories to cover and talk about. I think this was truly incredible. Number 5, Steve Austin at WrestleMania 19. Because it was the last Stone Cold Steve Austin entrance ever, and we didn't even know it. Of course, WrestleMania 38 changed all that, but that was 20 years later. It's hard to sell how popular Austin was today too, because sometimes it really is a case of, well, you had to be there. It just meant that learning he was going to sneak off into retirement, that didn't feel right. This guy changed the game. It really hits home when you watch it today due to the above, because even the hard-on Rattlesnake couldn't totally hide his emotions. He had been in hospital the night before following an anxiety attack of sorts, and now he was about to have his last match ever. It's mad to think this was only 5 years after he did blow up. His career was the definition of loud and fast. While it would be nice to think the production crew knew about this, hence why they shot it a little bit differently, my guess is the whole thing was kept a secret. Therefore, it was probably the likes of Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn ensuring they captured the farewell of the greatest in the best possible way. There was also the little matter of Austin wearing a vest that read bulletproof. I mean, you could talk about it for days. If nothing else, it hits hard because for many this was their guy and now he was done, and we weren't even clued in. I'm not sure you can write it. Number 4, Bianca Belair at WrestleMania 39. Bianca Belair is an underrated babyface. She's just so great at playing the good guy and also being an inspiration to the next generation. Doesn't even have to try. That's basically what triggered this WrestleMania entrance. It was number 39 when Belair walked out with the dance troupe The Divas of Compton, and the routine they performed had been put together as a collab between them and Bianca. Again, what did I just say? How can you not love this? What really hit the hardest was the story about the main girl who was center stage and how she had lost her mother that morning. So the fact she went out there and did a contortionist act, this is what matters in the world. It was lovely she got to do her thing in front of an audience. Belair ensured to put the icing on the cake while speaking about this after the event too. She was very aware of her own role models, so wanted to give the next generation a platform where they could shine too. Representation is important and we can all be the EST. It's just ridiculous, man. So unless you are made of stone when you watch this with all that information, you will most definitely feel something. Belair retained her women's title against Asuka too? Hell yeah. Number 3, Andre the Giant and Bobby Heenan at WrestleMania 3. Anytime Andre the Giant at Mania 3 comes up, I like to point out, do not judge this man on that. It was incredible he was able to make it at all given the shape he was in. Andre was broken on this evening but went and did business. It's another reason he's a GOAT. We also forget the story as well and just how great Bobby Heenan was. He was such a dastardly manager, he had convinced the Giant he needed to return to stop the terror of Hulk Hogan, or in short, the brain was poisoning Andre's mind. It's why seeing them glide to the ring at WrestleMania 3 hits way harder than you'd think from highlight packages, because Bobby is dressed to the nines. He needed this win even more than his monster did, and he visually looks like the ringmaster pulling all the strings. He is the host of one mad circus. Andre himself looked like he was part ready to kill and part torn with his choices, and let's remember, this was essentially his swan song. Was about to go out how all the greats did back then, putting the new guy over as much as he could, so he was an absolute legend, and in many ways it's all encapsulated in this. Number 2, Kane at Bad Blood 1997. This one is personal because I was so young, I could not believe it. You do have to talk about the build, because for weeks Paul Bearer had been going on about the Undertaker's long-thought dead brother and how he was alive. However, Mr. Bearer was a heel and therefore a liar. We did not believe him. He was just saying these things to get under the dead man's skin. That is truly how I felt at the time, because there was nothing more real than wrestling when we got to Bad Blood. Aside from the Undertaker Shawn Michaels Hell in a Cell, which is still arguably the best one, actually seeing Kane make his debut was truly shocking. Out of context, he looks ridiculous, but let's not pretend otherwise. Back in 1997, it was the coolest, most terrifying thing you'd ever seen. Who was this human being? Or is he a human being? Jim Ross, you hero. Bearer needs credit too, because his reaction is perfect, and look at the Undertaker's face. That was as confused as we'd ever seen him, which is why this was so good. It's not just about the entrance itself. It was the stories and characters that went along with it. Plus, you had the surprise aspect. I don't actually think the WWE could have improved on this. It's also one of the best ever debut entries too, and I was obsessed with Kane until WWE eventually ruined him by giving him feelings. We didn't need feelings, we needed a machine. Ah well. Number 1, Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 17. Is this the most important match in WWE history? It's arguable and not always for the right reasons. Many see this as the end of the Attitude Era, and some fans going, you know what? I do not want to watch anymore. A huge reason for this was the decision to turn Austin heel, and that ties into this. Not only do you get that amazing My Way video package before the main event itself, but the final words of that was Steve saying, "I need to beat you, Rock." In case you missed it, the key word there was need. That's why he did what he did when push came to shove, and once you know that, go and look at Stone Cold's face. He just totally understands wrestling and how you convey information, even during an entrance, and even though nobody knew it at the time, he just looked so serious. Like his whole life depended on this moment. Austin did not know wrestling was predetermined. On a more aesthetic level, you get the flashes from the old school cameras, and the rattlesnake is just in his element here. Stark reminder why he was the guy, even if he was about to sacrifice it all and turn his back on the fans. Maybe that's what makes this so badass though. He'd actually convinced himself in real life he had to do whatever was necessary. So I am just gonna finish this list with a proper hyperbole statement, but I mean it too. There will never be another dude like him. Know of any other entrances we should have mentioned on this list? Make sure you give him a shout in the comments below. Before you like the video, share the video, and please do subscribe. You can then click the video on the screen for another countdown to get even more mad at my opinions, but otherwise, my friends, know that I love you, and I will speak to you again very soon.